let's just settle into a nice, comfortable, seated posture. Because what, I realized that I was more affected by what I kept watching on the news and listening to in podcasts regarding politics than I was admitting to. So I managed to get myself quite down about it all. I found it a little bit depressing. And then things shifted yesterday, and then I noticed there was a change in my mood. So what that led me to think was, it would be really good if we could. I know we're not islands, and we are very influenced by everything around us, but it would be really helpful, I think, for us if we were able at some times to just be able to go inside and get in touch with who it is we really are, and not be kind of pushed around like we're kind of floating on a current out in the ocean. So one way to do that is we can ground ourselves physically. So just if you put your feet about a hip's width apart, if you are sitting with your feet on the ground, and then really try and feel the sensation of the feet in the earth, these feet that help us move around the planet, the earth that is supporting us. And just imagine you can feel the sensation of the soles of your feet, the heels, the outer foot, the big toe mound, the little toe mound, and then all of your toe pads. Then really feel the weight of your legs in your ankles. Shoulders are aligned with your hips. And imagine your spine as this beautiful string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And imagine your ears are aligned with your shoulders. Just imagine you're lengthening your spine. And then just notice you can have your hands in the traditional meditation mudra, which is the right hand nestled in the left with the thumbs touching, or perhaps you can have your palms just resting on your quads, on your thighs. You notice the sensation of the air as you inhale and exhale through your nostrils. I would always encourage nostril breathing wherever you can. It's just, this book I read, James Nestor, a scientist, and him and his friend in San Francisco did this experiment with nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. His friend, also a scientist from, I think, Norway, Sweden, somewhere. Anyway, they wrote this book. And they had quite a bit of evidence to prove that breathing in and out of your nostrils is actually a little bit healthier, much healthier, far healthier than breathing in and out of the mouth. There's actually some cultures that encourage their babies to keep their mouths shut while they're breathing. They just come along and pinch their lips. Possibly it's Japan. Anyway, what we have in our nostrils is a very complex system to protect. It's like a frontline protection for, for the body, for the lungs, the sinuses, the throat. So why wouldn't we want this frontline protection? And this is why mouth taping nighttime seems to be a bit of a thing for a while. Anyway, there I am. James Nestor. The book is called Breath. It's very insightful. It will help you with your meditation practice and also with your sleep and general health, I understand. So then Just become aware of the sounds in your environment. Just allowing those sounds to be there, trying not to follow them with the mind. Just part of your environment. So it you could have pets in your home. You could have sound from outside. Could be just local wildlife. It could be cars or people. You might have neighbors who are living close to you. Maybe you have chickens there. So just allow those sounds to be there. And then notice the thoughts that are rising in the mind. So the events of yesterday were quite big for this country and also for probably the rest of the world. Some people it's disappointing. For other people, it's cause for excitement and hope. However it is for you, however you are responding to, and I don't think that there's many people in this country that wouldn't be affected. Just allow yourself to go inwards a little bit, and all that turmoil and busyness and what's going on outside there, just allow it to be there for a moment and focus back in on yourself. Notice the sensation of the air again. We have a very intimate connection with our breath. It's keeping us alive. Then notice the thoughts that are arising. Just try and see if these thoughts are actually useful, helpful. And then maybe think about letting go of anything that doesn't really serve you. Things like negative self-talk, ill will. So the idea is also not this kind of future tripping, thinking about things that may or may not happen, creating these stories in our mind, these scenarios, almost like mini movies. And we get all emotional about these things that we're imagining, and they may not even happen. So it's a kind of a waste of brain space and time. And so you can maybe just allow those thoughts to arise and abide, just float away. Bring to mind some people of your life. Start with the ones you love. You can bring their face, see their eyes, their smile. These are the people that when you see a text message from them, you just smile. And then there's people in your life who you don't like so much, just kind of like they irritate you, or there's a ton of red flags around them and you just kind of feel suspicious, or, you know. And then there's our strangers, being mindful of this idea of this impermanent nature of samsara. All of these relationships can change place. We get so surprised when they do, but this is how we're living. This is where we're living, impermanence. And then think these people are all equal. They all have this beautiful wish to be happy, to be free from suffering. Everybody has this extraordinary capacity for this kind of enlightened mind. So we think, we do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So this is a purification practice. It's also, as Yangtze Rinpoche said, it's also a practice for healing. We're healing our mind stream. We're healing our consciousness. We're healing our being. So we think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind. So equally, we can change that by creating positivity instead. So we're doing this practice And in the context of Vajrasattva, in the context of the four opponent powers. An opponent as in they're opposing our negativity. So we start by thinking, the first one is the power of regret. So, Rinpoche used to talk about how regret is a very, very powerful first step in purification. Regret can heal so much. So you sincerely regret from the depths of our heart anything that you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think, of specific actions of both your body and your speech. So regret is not guilt. Guilt is like, I'm a bad person. I'm horrible. This can't be fixed. That's it. Regret is more like an acknowledgement or a kind of a being accountable to yourself and to others for things that you may have done and that you intend to do something about it. You recognize that you're aware of it and you want to change it. It's fantastic. So, logically, the reason we want to regret is because we don't want to have any more of this in the future. So karmically, any suffering that we cause is going to come right back at us at some point. So we think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I don't want any future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. So also regret anger and attachment. These are our delusions. And because of these are the things that cause us to harm others, and then think, I'm sick of suffering, sick of it. Then we come to the power of reliance. So this includes two little sections. One is refuge and the other is developing compassion. So with refuge, we're looking at this in terms of, we're not seeing Vajrasattva, this Buddha, as a higher power, but as a doctor who has these methods that we can use to heal ourselves. So we're not wanting to go to Buddha Vajrasattva for forgiveness. This is not where we're at. It's a whole different scene here. We're purifying ourselves. We're healing ourselves by relying on his methods. So if the host could put up it's there, sorry. Okay. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. And if you have a teacher, you can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit, facing the same way as you, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. And he has this beautiful radiant face and gorgeous eyes. They look like lotus petals. And he's full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life equally. Equal love and compassion for all, even those ones you don't like so much, and the strangers who you don't care about. So then we go to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened by this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva. May I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So we have this little section on compassion. So we all want to be compassionate. We all want to think that we're compassionate. And compassion is this idea that you want people to be free from suffering. So who doesn't want that? But we need to develop it in ourselves by relying upon other beings, which is why it's in the section called reliance. So we think of beings that we have harmed recently in the past, and then perhaps, if you believe in past lives, in other lives. And then you think of the people who have harmed you. Particularly, you want to have compassion for these people because the harm they've caused you is going to result in suffering for them sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice for the sake of all these beings and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to this power of the remedy. So this is the medicine. We start with purifying the body. And Vajrasattva, imagine very compassionately, very happily, sends this powerful white nectar like coming out of a hose or from a waterfall you can even imagine doing this in your shower, and it pours into your crown, pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and it keeps coming and coming and coming until it forces out of your lower orifice all the harm you have ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and it pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasappha-samayam, Manupalaya, Vajrasappha-dinapatita, Dita-meboa, Sutukaya-meboa, Sipokaya-meboa, Anarakta-meboa, Sawasidi, Mempiyata-sawa, Kamasita-me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum, Ha-ho, Bhagavan, Sawa-tata-gata, Vajramami, Mutsa-vajrabawa, Mahasamaya, Satra-ahum pe, Vajrasappha-samayam, Manupalaya, Vajrasappha-dinapatita, Dita-meboa, Sutukaya-meboa, Sipokaya-meboa, Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe vajrasappa samaya manupalaya vajrasappa dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyata sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahum Pe Vajrasappa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasappa Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta meboa sawa sidi mimpiyatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sattva hum pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is a purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this overflows from the top parts of the body and just disappears into space, not one atom left. And you imagine, any gossip or harsh speech or inappropriate speech or this kind of useless speech, just rabbiting on about nothing and boring everybody to death. And then lying and not telling the truth. And then talking about people behind their backs and in a way that's not nice, and then getting other people to agree with you. I mean, you're seeing that on the political stage right now as well. This is insane. And imagine this is all purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anurakta meboa sawasidi mimpiyatsa sawa kamasita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra ahum pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So now be so happy that your speech is completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine you walk into a dark room, it's pitch black, and you flick on the switch, and the light instantly dispels the darkness. So if you can try to imagine that the same thing is happening here, when Vajrasattva sends light from his heart, and in the moment that it touches your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all your attachment and neediness and anger and violence and depression and bitterness and grudges, resentment, jealousy, ill will, vitriol, all of this kind of stuff, instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering, and as I said earlier, the reason we harm others with our body and our speech. So imagine all of the delusions are gone, and there's no space in your heart now for anything but love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. So next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And we're moving into a little bit more subtle level here, sort of an energetic level. So you imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, it fills you completely and just gives you this extra wash and eradicates the subtlest imprints of negative energy. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So now feel you are completely purified and imagine there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And so now we come to the final step in this process, and this is the power of resolve, where we make a decision that we don't want to harm. Because honestly, without making a decision, nothing happens. I want to go out the door. You've got to decide you want to go out the door. I want to fly to X, Y, and Z. You've got to decide that's what you want to do. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So, rejoice in your effort coming along here, night after night after night. And then think about something that you might want to work on. So maybe you have a habit to sort of just put yourself down all the time, or you have a habit to be critical. And you might not notice it. It might just be kind of this disgruntled thing that's going on in your mind, but it might affect others. It also affects you. And just think for a moment, turn inwards and notice, have a wish to notice how you dialogue with yourself. Well, maybe it's not serving you entirely. So maybe think, well, I'll look at that for maybe 5 minutes or 30 seconds or 5 seconds and just see if I can maybe do something about that one. Become awareness. So you're basically starting to shine a light, becoming aware of what's going on, what you can do to change it. Just become aware of it. Okay, I'm not going to do this thing for 5 seconds. And gradually can increase the time. Slowly, things will change. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind, melts into white light, and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind become one. And then, Rinpoche would talk about thinking about emptiness. So in emptiness, this is how they think. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level, you understand emptiness, just place your mind there for a moment. We think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. So they're all just a bunch of dependent arisings. This depends on this in order for this to happen. And you can also think that maybe the way things are appearing to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy we've created this evening doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my own enlightenment, for the sake of sentient beings, as quickly as possible. So we do this, we recite these, 3 verses every night of this chanting the names of Manjushri that's been recommended by His Holiness the Dalai Lama for the swift return of the unmistaken reincarnation of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So we're up, I think we're chapter 9 now or something. The dancer moving to and fro, his hundreds of lengthy arms, while setting down his stride, the dancer spreading through the whole of space and filling it with Srimat's 100 arms, stood tall atop the surface of the earth, the sole of just 1 foot pervading all, stood tall atop the summit of the world, the nail of his big toe suppressing all, whose aim is one, whose aim is non-dual Dharma, whose aim is ultimate beyond destruction, whose mind consists in groups of consciousness with varied objects, forms, and cognizance. Okay, everybody, I noticed that Coral's not here this evening, and it might be because her granddaughter was in quite a serious car accident. So I just wanted to show you a photo of this young woman. Her name is... It's an unusual, Marcy. I was going to say Mercy. Her name is Marcy. This is her photo. I don't know if you can see. So she was hit. She works for Starbucks. She's a law student, and she was going to Starbucks early in the morning, and a drunk driver hit her car and totaled the car. And she has a few broken bones, but they sent her home. But I think it was quite shocking for Coral, and I just wanted to, dedicate our practice this evening for the whole family, and also for Marcy. Just looks like such a sweet young woman. Anyway, and see, I was just thinking when I heard that your life can change any moment, just like that. She's driving to work, thinking she's going to be serving lattes and et cetera, and then she finds herself in hospital. It's probably not what she was thinking at all when she got up in the morning. So it's always good for us to be very aware that things could change, immediately, instantly. Okay, and let's just dedicate for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and for all of our own precious, precious teachers. Okay, everybody, good night. Thank you for coming, and thank you for hosting, everyone. Michael or Bill, I don't know who was doing it. Okay. Thank you. So I was thinking we'll just given what's going on in the world outside, I thought we'd do Tara tomorrow morning. So you're all very welcome to come. West Coast people, it's 6:30 in the morning, but we can do it, All right. I'll see some of you then. Okay. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.